Hi, this is Bill Watkins. Thanks for taking a few minutes and just looking into the scriptures with me. I'm looking forward to spending time with you. We looked over the last few weeks about death and where are the dead. As we're continuing in this thought about what happens to us next, I want to take you to the second coming of Christ. You know, ever since Christ left the earth, we have been looking forward to his return. The process of Old Testament prophecy brought people to a great desire for the Messiah to come the first time. He came, he lived, he died, he rose, and now we're looking forward to him coming again. Do you know there are more than 1,800 references in the Bible to the second coming of Christ? Nothing is more clear than this, that Christ is coming again. Let me give you just one example before we get into some others. It's 2 Peter chapter 3, verses 10 through 13. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens will pass away with a great noise, and the elements will melt with fervent heat, and the earth and the works that are in it will be burned up. Therefore, since all these things are to be dissolved, what manner of persons ought you to be in all holy living and godliness, looking for and earnestly desiring the coming of the day of God, because of which the heavens will be dissolved, being on fire, and the elements will melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth in which righteousness dwells. I want you to notice a couple of things. Number one, that Peter said Jesus is coming again. And he talked about the things that would be associated with that coming, the dissolving of the heavens and the earth and the works that are in it, the elements melting with fervent heat. He also then talked about what kind of people ought we to be. The second coming of Christ demands that we live a certain way. So we're not just talking about some nice theoretical thought, but because he's coming again, there's a kind of life that I need to live. And we're going to look at that over the next several weeks as we look together. The first thing I want you to note is the reality of his coming. There were those who denied that Jesus would come again. In 2 Peter chapter 3, verses 3 and 4, scoffers will come in the last days, walking after their own lust and saying, where is the promise of his coming? Since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of creation. There are people who say one day is like the next day is like the next day. He hasn't come, therefore he's not going to come. And then in Matthew chapter 22, in verses 23 through 33, there were the Sadducees who say there is no resurrection and ask him, Teacher, Moses said that if a man dies having no children, his brother shall marry his wife and raise up offspring for his brother. And he said, now there were with us 7 brothers. And the first died, and then without children, so his brother married the woman, and he died without children, and so his brother married the woman, all the way to the 7th. That's their story. And then they said, but now, in the resurrection, whose wife of the 7 will we be? For they all had her. They thought they can prove there can't be a resurrection, or else a woman's going to have 7 husbands in the resurrection. Jesus answered them this way, you are mistaken, not knowing the scriptures or the power of God. For in the resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like the angels in heaven. But concerning the resurrection of the dead, have you not read that was spoken unto you by God, saying, I'm the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob? He's quoting all the way back to Exodus chapter 3. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. When the multitudes heard this, they were astonished at his teaching. Christ is coming again. Jesus said, let not your heart be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I'll come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you may be also. That's John chapter 14, verses 1 through 3. Well, there are so many other passages. There's a parable of 10 virgins. The bridegroom is coming. He's talking about himself. There's the parable of the talents in Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 through 30, where 3 men have been given a varying degree of talents. 2 of the men use them. 1 of them buries them in the ground. The master returns and makes a reckoning with them. And he's talking about himself. Jesus is coming again, and there is a reckoning. Be careful how you live. We'll talk more next time. Thanks for watching.